question. All right, so I'm gonna,
I'm right here.
you're right here, okay.
So I just have to get back to Bill Bryan here. So when you're in the spring flush, you're putting animals in very mature pasture. Of course, being sheep, they're not mowing it down.
No.
Right.
When you start, you're starting
Yeah.
right on. Yeah.
So you are then, after they come out in that over mature pasture, you're haying that, or are you just clipping it?
No, that area is never clipped or hayed. In the meantime, these other two areas have been mowed for hay, and now they have regrown. And you have after that. In about the 15th of June.
But I think over the winter, they're on the hay fields. And then when they come out of the hay fields, they go into the buffer area first. That's gonna be hayed a little later, or how does it look?
In the winter time, they're fed hay, the hay that came off those areas,
Right.
on the buffer and the hay feed,
Yes.
and then on the 15th of April, basically, they go back on the pasture.
Right. I got that.
And of course, there's a little flexibility there depending on the year. So you can't do that.
Right. But that's sorry. So then, okay, they're spring flush, they graze, it's very mature pasture. 56 days later, they're coming back to that pasture.
Or more,
More,
sometimes.
right. What does it look like?
Some of it is really stemmy, but now of course you still have lambs that are getting a fair bit of milk from you. They're not, and an added thing that we've done in the past also, we creep graze the lambs. So, but we
Okay, wait, okay.
we haven't done that on a regular basis.
Okay.
They're normally just together,
Okay, all right.
and so that's why.
Okay, do we have another question?
I have
Oh,
a question for Rob.
okay.
Can I do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I told you it was going to be exciting. This is exciting. I couldn't be. All right, we'll have you go first and then Sam after.
I guess I lost my question. I did have I wondered what the acreage was that you have sectioned off for divided by 3. You said you have 100 sheep used in rotation. So what acreage?
She must have like 17.
What's your pasture total acreage before you divide it?
Right. It's about 30 acres effective, but because we're actually working on a farm that's also cropped, and we use the animals for weed control, so part of the time, this is why it gets to be quite a difficult issue to actually say how many, your carrying capacity.
Right.
But as I say, it's about 3.5 ewes to the acre of area, total area. But some of that actually is cropped area that they will eat. Like when we harvest the wheat, then the sheep go in there and they'll be on there for a week, grazing up weeds, all this kind of stuff. And the pastures are resting. So there's a number of flexibilities that you get from having cropped areas also in your system.
Great.
And of course, we're also looking at soils. We're not going to talk about that now, and recycling nutrients and all that good stuff.
Sam.
Is this cheating? Can I ask?
No, go for it. It's a discussion.
So Robin, so in the south of America, in South of North America, the southern states, the Southern Grazers Association knows that high tannin grasses, which we can't grow up here in the Northeast, effectively decrease. I think as soon as you're removed from that pasture, the egg counts come back, but it drops the egg count. My question to you is, do you know how the chicory and the plantain is causing an anti-allergic effect?
Short answer, no. No, we don't. With the plantain,
Yeah.
when we grazed the ewes and lambs on pre-weaning, we got a substantial response in lamb growth, which we think is due to increased nutrition and the fact that plantain is metabolized faster and the fractional rate through the rumen is increased. So they're eating more.
So it's very palatable.
It's very palatable.
You can't grow that up here, though, can we?
Yeah, you
Yes, you
can.
can.
Yeah.
But we know that there is a high tannin content in plantain, and as yet, we haven't investigated whether or not that's one of the reasons for the, it seems to be an effect on fecally count output.
Right.
Right. So when we put lands, post-weeding lands on plantain and ryegrass, there was no difference in the growth rates.
So it might be that.
But as yet, we can't quantify what it is.
We can grow those,
How
yeah.
about the palatability of the chicory?
It's, if they've been exposed to it before, they go on to chicory very, very well. But if they haven't seen it, they go backwards for about 10 days. And then they pick up. And with our previous study, we found that once we fed them the chicory, if we reinfect them, those animals that we fed the chicory are actually refractory to, more refractory to infection than the animals that are on ryegrass.
Do we have another question? Kathleen first.
It's a short question, but I'm an economist. I discovered something very interesting in this session. I don't know all of you, it's not just for the panelists. I learned from that walnut medicine thing, that's all I got was the walnut-made medicine to treat organic animals with related disease problems. There seemed to be a very high value-added opportunity in the marketplace for the herb growers or unconventional ancient medicine kind of a remedy, treatment kind of thing to be applied to organic farms. I don't know if anybody had heard or encountered any study from the economic aspect and the value-added aspect, how this kind of a collaboration can enhance the economic opportunities for both animal producers and herb, you see what I'm saying, other kind of fruit vegetable producers. Did anybody see any study like that?
Well, I did a lot of research on the literature, and the problem is, at least from my standpoint, is I want scientific evidence of that the products work, and a lot of the evidence I saw was not good. I mean, no, it wasn't positive when there was scientific evidence. Now, if you talk to, I think I was talking to you this morning, she would talk to a producer and said, wow, the diatomaceous work great. But basically, some of the evidence we've seen is it really isn't in a lot of cases. Some studies say it seems like it does something. So maybe he was doing something different. So I think that's a wonderful thing is you could have a cooperation between herb growers and organic producers if the herb that they're growing is efficacious.
When you say the results are not good, are you saying the treatment results were not good?
When you put it
From the
under
scientific
scientific analysis, a lot of them aren't panning out really well. I mean, now, you know, but cost-wise, you would think that the herbal products, if they were efficacious, could be a lot cheaper for the producer than the chemical products that are that you buy.
Well, that's my assumption. I mean, if you guys are interested, I'll be more than happy to figure out something to do here because I haven't encountered anything like that.
I think, you know, when we talked about economics, you know, I remember, you know, when some people were going organic and they suddenly found out that if they were using walnut hulls from their next door neighbor's forest, that they now had to be certified organic walnut hulls. And so, you know, it was more, oh my gosh, this was going to add money, you know, or my neighbor's not going to be willing to go get certified. Certainly with Cercidia, Vespedenza. You know, the guys who have the monopoly on pelleting that, I'm sure are going to be making some pretty good money on that pelleting. And right now on seed are making good money on seed. And then with the chicory, just to point out, there's a lot of variation in the amount of condensed tannins in the different varieties. And then it's not as good condensed tannin-wise as some other plants, but there's other things going on. I mean, that's the thing, once you're looking at plants, you're looking at a lot of compounds within that. plant. So, you know, a lot of this lends itself to then more fun research.
Is there another question? Or, I'm sorry, you had.
Add something?
Yes, Bill.
Basically, the organic worms that we've tried, we tried cider vinegar, tea tree oil, seaweed extract, and cider garlic as well. And in the best case, most effective has 30%. 30% reduction.
As acute dewormers.
That's as a dewormer.
As an acute one.
In combination or something?
Separate. So, and the organic producers I deal with are quite happy with that sort of reduction. It gives them space to work. We have looked at using fish meal, which is certified organic, and we've had very good results with tagging ewes on that, and we've had 80% reductions in fecal count and due to the fish meal, which is, we think, is working through the metabolizable protein as a bypass protein.
Okay, next, now officially, next question.
I was wondering if you could speak to the, Robert, for the trade-offs between maintaining sort of your herbal lay as your plantain chicory pasture by itself versus having, you know, where you are ryegrass, clover, plantain, chicory together, or using both within the farm?
For experimental purposes, we've had them separate because we wanted to see if there actually was a response. After running halfway through this trial, we figure that we actually should have put the chicory in strips. So strips of chicory, strips of plantain, strips of clover. A, it would help us with the weed problems, and B, we could see where the animals are grazing and see what they prefer. The organic farmers are actually using plantain, chicory, red clover, and one other grass species, and they're putting the whole farms in it. So that's probably your answer.
Okay.
Okay, we probably have time for, we've got 2 minutes left, so yes.
With the Plumbagon, it looked like you used one set dose. Are you looking at trying to experiment different dosages? And also with your larvicide sort of pre-treatment, do you look at possibly continuing a treatment, starting early and continuing that treatment? It appeared that you did that early treatment then didn't treat later on. Are those two conditions you're looking to research?
The whole thing that I think this is valuable for everybody is not just people who are working at universities, again, I'm the only one up here that's not associated with the university, is that we need you people to become involved in testing products as well. And it's not that complicated. And so just simply setting up a circumstance where you can test this, my opinion, so you were asking about the preventative group. So I was actually surprised with the preventative group because the studies that was done in the 1970s with Plumbagon and all these natural quinolones, it seemed like they were affecting the larvae quite effectively. Right, it was only like L2s. So it was interesting. So I had actually looked under the microscope at the L3 larvae when I had them immersed in the Plumbagon, and I didn't actually see, of course, it was only a couple, like 5 minutes, and nothing was happening. So I knew it wasn't directly larvicidal, but it didn't prevent the infections, and therefore it was serving its role at that time. Now, I probably regret that those egg counts were only carried out for the first 2 times in the preventative group, but it served its purpose for what it was versus control. Was it a larvicidal treatment? The dose can be played with, but there seems to be, in the literature, but it's even very foggy, is the toxicity zone of the product. Another thing with Plumbagon is there may be, with these naphthoquinolones, some reproductive issues. So an example, if you had an assault block, let's say, or something, and they were a loose salt, and the sheep or goats were exposed to that, or cattle, are you going to cause abortions? Or are you going to cause breeding problems? And you don't know this. I mean, that's what I'm saying. just a regular guy shooting in the dark, using scientific numbers to see if you could find out if it was efficacious. So it looked like we may have something, and I was hooked into this quick so I didn't get, Dr. Kaplan's wasn't able to finish up the statistical things here. What we're seeing was actually true.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't mean to put the whole onus on you, but I guess my question more roundly is, do you think there's room for more research into different dosages and different types of treatment and how you give them the dosages?
I think so, and I would think that it'd be unique to a lot of these other products. If you look at all the commercial organic murmurs, they're mixes of different herbs and products, and a lot of them, what I've seen, hasn't stood up. But maybe you could use this as another adjunct to other products that may have benefits. Again, I'm mainly focused on those sheep that you have to pull out in organic production, and you don't want to lose them you want to salvage them. Now in Robin's system, it seems like he can pull them out, put them onto it sounds like almost like a high tenant pasture, and that the thing to be worried about though is this high tenants, my understanding is it seems like it's having a reproductive effect on the adult worm, but it's not killing it. So after you rehabilitate them, when they go back out, are they going to sell the same worm bird?
It's a very good possibility. We will look at doing work counts eventually if we get a positive response.
Right. So a combination of all these things, your nutrition, your selection, your pasture management, the use of pasture grasses, if you have a sick one, having the ability to have an organic murmur. I mean, that's just, and as far as we're seeing, of course, Robin says he's seeing better results in New Zealand. They drink a lot of beer down there, but they don't.
Okay, so the session is officially over, and so I'd like to thank all of our speakers. Excellent job.